What's up, everybody? I was actually just trying to type the whole title here. And it just began. But whatever, I'll update that later. This is the self-perfected video challenge of this week. And we were talking about trust and how we live in a world where we can't really trust anything. I mean, and this is still, for anyone watching this replay, this is still 2021. This isn't 2025 when deepfakes and things like that are going to be so common that we're going to live in a world where you can't even really trust what you see online, on the news, things like that. If you don't know what a deepfake is, highly suggest look that up. It's a post-trust world that we live in, actually, where people hit you up on social media and you don't know if they're trying to sell you some cryptocurrency thing or just in general, like articles are written online, all sorts of stuff is out there. And this is, it's an epidemic of sorts, but it's kind of the consequence that we've created, where we live in this world where like you can't really trust if someone's being honest or not. However, there's a solution. Guess what the solution is? It's called self-trust. And it's a process of going through enough situations in your life where you, for example, set a goal for yourself. Like, hey, I want to make a certain amount of money, or hey, I want to have an awesome relationship. And you set that goal, and then you try to achieve the goal, and then you fail, but you get back up and you keep going, and then eventually you hit it. That process of going, failing, and getting back up and doing it, that builds self-trust. And when you build self-trust enough, you can then start to set more big, audacious goals for yourself, where then that process of trusting yourself just becomes who you are. So now within yourself, you can set a vision for something. Like for me, one of my visions is to have self-perfected, and this idea of self-perfection to become basically mainstream, where at some point in the future, it could be 2 years from now, it could be 20 years from now, it could be 200 years from now, where the average person in the world understands the idea of self-perfection and takes it on for themselves. That's a vision that I have within me, but I don't have that vision and then I look at reality and I see how screwed up things are and they get mad about it. I'd be like, oh, I just don't trust anything, right? It's like, I know that that's absolutely possible. I've done enough in my life to know that when I can see a vision of what's possible, as long as it abides by physical reality and common sense, I trust myself enough, and I trust enough of the people around me because we've had a track record of success working together, that I know that that is possible and that's what will happen. But why don't we currently have that? Like, why isn't that a common thing happening right now in the world, where people trust themselves, trust each other, and things like that? Well, I don't know the last time you checked, but the average person who goes to public school, they are learning a messed up, completely not realistic view of reality. We also have a media that is glamorizing shit that is unimportant, looking at celebrities, caring about what is the newest celebrity couple and all this stuff. And of course we aren't going to trust that. And then we aren't going to trust each other because we're playing this rat race game of consuming, seeking money, seeking energy experiences. And that's really all that we were ever taught to care about. It's all we've ever been programmed to care about. And it's all we do care about at the moment. People value money more than they value human life. So that alone should show us that, well, yeah, I mean, it's like we don't really trust each other. However, it doesn't have to be that way. So self-perfected is what our group's all about, is 3 steps: looking at the past, learning how to forgive it, let go, release yourself from the past through self-forgiveness. You don't need to pray to God to forgive you, or go to the priest, or say something 10 times, or go touch the guru's robe, or whatever. You can forgive yourself. You have that power. Then, in the present moment, you can learn how to live the change daily. Live actually who you intend to be, and back it up as who you are through your actions and what you do, as well as just the realization of, hey, I'm here. I know that in every moment, if I apply myself and direct myself, instead of letting my feelings, emotions, energy, all that stuff direct me, rather I direct myself. So I get out of bed even if I don't feel like it. That is then a process by which you accumulate power within yourself to actually start directing yourself. And then guess what? When you get good at that and you take on more responsibility, you direct reality. You direct others. You can build systems. You can build structures that are directing then society and culture. That's pretty cool. Now, the third part of self-perfection, and this is how you build that self-trust, and then you can establish trust with others, is creating and building as that best version of yourself. Not just the, what you want people to see on social media, or not just the idea you have in your mind of yourself, because guess what? That's a bunch of program bullshit anyway, because Hollywood got to you before you even understood what self-directive principle is. So right now, in the back of your mind, programmed into you, is this idea of having some type of fairy tale wedding and some perfect prince or princess or whatever. And that's directing your life more than you realize. So of course, we don't even trust ourselves unless you're actually walking this process. It takes a lot of self-honesty to see that. By walking this process, I mean those 3 steps of self-perfection. Looking at the past, investigating it, forgiving it, releasing yourself from it. Looking at here and now. Each breath is how you actually interpret the world and how you participate with the realities in every breath. Then, looking, seeing what makes sense into the future. And then we create the future through common sense, practical application, and through that process, and doing that with others, like people in this group. Guess what happens? You develop a culture, which we have. Say culture. Someone else the other day was trying to tell me that it was a cult. I was like, wow, it's about time someone calls it a cult. Guess what? It's just a culture. No one's worshiping anybody in our group. Rather, we're connected within the principle of doing what's best for all. Principle of self-honesty, self-trust, self-responsibility, self-awareness, giving as you'd like to receive. So hey, if that's a cult, then sign me up, because that's the best type of culture that I'd want to be part of. Because guess what? I actually intend, and I am focused on creating a world that's best for everybody, where no child has to go to sleep hungry. No situation comes up where people have to suffer unnecessarily. That's absolutely possible. But it requires a group, and it requires a group of people that trust each other and that trust ourselves, and then we can check each other. Because guess what? Even my best friends, even Jessica, I don't just trust them blindly and say, oh, Jess, I trust you with everything. No, trust is earned over time. And I still check. And she still checks me. And I welcome it. I don't think, oh, Jess, how dare you try and, challenge my authority. I'm the man and I have to do all this shit. It's like, no, that's stupid. That's just you letting your programming, your ego go crazy. Rather, if Jess checks me on something, then I back it up with the proof that I'm trustworthy. Guess what? After a while of doing that, and you can establish, and in your self-honesty, you can say, I trust myself. And I prove to myself, and I prove to others, so that it's verifiable, that when I say I'm going to do something, I do it. That's powerful. But guess what? from my experience, at least, I've seen a lot of people recently where they will commit to do something, and they'll say, yep, I'm going to go do it. But then you don't do it. Guess what happens with there? You break your integrity, and you lose your power, because then your word means nothing. Because you say, yeah, I'll be there, and you ghost. You don't show up. Guess what? That means literally on a subconscious and a conscious level, if you have any sort of ability to have awareness, you are a liar. You are straight up lying to yourself and to others, saying, I'll be there, and then you don't show up. You don't even try and make a correction of it. Guess what? That's called breaking your word. And therefore, you have lost all your ability to be at cause over reality. You are just at effect. You're like a little sailboat flying around the ocean, getting tossed and turned by the waves of reality. But guess what? Here's good news. You can restore that, and you can restore that self-trust. It takes time. Yeah. It's really that same process. You acknowledge the past. You forgive it. You apply the change in the moment. You say, yep, okay, I'm here. I'm going to trust myself. And then guess what? You can create as the best version of yourself. And you can make a little goal for yourself. Say, hey, tell the next person you're going to go hang out with or whatever, hey, I'll be there. And then show up. Guess what? That's where power comes from. Then your word actually means something. Then the next time you say, hey, I'm going to do my New Year's resolution, or I'm going to, this month is going to be my best month yet. And you say that, and you have a track record of proving to yourself that you do what you say, that's powerful. That's how you actually create. It's about maintaining integrity with your word and directing yourself, no matter how you feel, to just do the thing that you know is best to do. So that's trust. A little bit about why we don't trust ourselves and each other and how you can build that trust. Because I'm here to support the creation of a world where every single person trusts themselves. Because if anyone doesn't, guess what? We're all interconnected. That's going to come back around. So even for the people living in nice gated communities where you live out in the middle of nowhere and you're like, I'm good, I don't care about the rest of the world. Guess what? You still need money. You still need some form of energy for your vehicles or for whatever you use. I guess, yeah, sure, you can go tenting in the woods, but guess what? You still got to use money to get the tent. So rather, instead of avoiding responsibility, let's all step up, take responsibility for what's here, first within ourselves, maintaining integrity with our word and what we say we're going to do, building that self-trust, because that's powerful. Without self-trust, you're screwed. And then you do that day in and day out, breath by breath, moment by moment, over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Guess what happens? After a couple weeks, couple months, couple years of doing that, you can really start to have a big effect in reality. That's the kind of world I'm creating. That's the kind of world I know many people, like Asia who's watching, we're all creating that. Asia takes action. She backs up exactly what she's going to say, even if it takes some time. That's what I love about the people within Self-Perfected. Even if it's something where we set a pretty big goal for ourselves, guess what? I may not hear from them for a week, but then 2 or 3 weeks later, they're like, hey, I've been working on it every day. Here's proof. Like, yes. These are the kind of people that I want to hang out with, that I want my kids to grow up knowing, because this is the world that's possible. Now imagine a whole generation of kids that are being born now, like a lot of the kids within TechnoTutor, within the Self-Perfected community, all of them growing up and this being like the cool thing to do, it's like have principles. That's the kind of world that we're creating. And you can join us now or you can join us later, but sooner or later it will be obvious because it's team life. We're on the team of life. If you're not on team life, what team are you on? So consider that for today. That is my live stream. And there's plenty more where that came from. I'm going to do a live tonight with Jess. So, hey, that's me. Haha. You hear me say that? Guess what? I'll back it up with action. It might be on her profile, but I'm going to do that live with Jess because guess what? I trust myself. And that's something that I wish for everybody. You got to take it on for yourselves and look at it. So, join us or join later. Exactly, Asia. All right, y'all. Stay real.